So Wizard of the Coast revealed to us a whole bunch of new images for the Wave 2 of Transformers TCG card game stuff.
Who's us? Is it just the fans in general, or is it
to us, to the fandom, to everybody?
okay?
And you get it here from Transformers Slag. So we have stuff that already has been shown. Specifically, they were showing that the next theme for the TCG is going to be a combiner theme, the rise of the combiners. And it's going to be distributed the same way that the original Wave was done, where you're going to have a booster box, and it's going to have the rise of the combiners, and it's going to be, you get one foil character card and the 7 action or battle cards. And it's going to be distributed the same way, but there's a whole bunch of new characters and a new play dynamic. And I'm going to get into that when I'm also getting into some of the character cards that we've been revealed to this point. So one of the rare cards, we have Windblade. And this is Windblade Combiner Hunter Windblade. And it's kind of based on her color scheme and everything from the SDCC exclusive, and it uses the art from that. But what's unique about this card is just how powerful it is. For people who are familiar with the game, you'll understand what I'm saying. For people who are not familiar with the game, I'll try to give a perspective of just how powerful this Windblade card is. She has a casting cost of 12, which is pretty large. To give a perspective, that's like Optimus Prime and Megatron casting cost. It's very high. She has a health of 12, 14, which is pretty much one of the highest of the singular smaller robots. Again, that's Optimus Prime level, or
Right.
Megatron level. She has a defense of 2, which is pretty average. But then, like, even when you get into her special abilities, she has a Pierce of 4. Now, what Pierce is it's a special ability that Megatron has, and Megatron's Pierce ability is only 3. So Windblade is like this super powerful card in the game.
Interesting.
And even more powerful than, say, the likes of Optimus and Megatron. Although, even more powerful than the likes of Optimus and Megatron in the original set. Who knows? I mean, it's pretty much guaranteed we're going to get an Optimus and a Megatron in this set too, like an updated version of it, which I will talk about later. But clearly at the moment right now, this Windblade is really powerful. To go into some other character cards, we have a Bluestreak. Bluestreak, he's kind of like low on health. His health is kind of below average, kind of like low tier. He has absolutely no defense at all. But it's kind of the hook of how the character works is when he's in robot mode, he has no defense. But how it kind of works, like in the game, the meta of the game, is that you're supposed to attack with the character, and then when he attacks, transform into alt mode, and then his alt mode actually has some of the highest defense out of any character, which I find bizarre that they use this with Bluestreak. I would have thought that, like, I don't know, maybe someone like Brawn would have been a better choice, where it's like, here's a character that in robot mode is kind of like vulnerable, but in alt mode he's tougher. So
Right.
Bluestreak is one of these characters where in robot mode, very weak defense, non-existent. When he goes into alt mode, he has some of the highest defense in the entire game of the singular characters, where he kind of exists as, like, I don't know, in Magic, the best comparison is like a wall character.
Okay.
Like he could take a hit, but it can't really do much, but it's useful in that form.
Right.
So he's an interesting one. Then we have, of course, Megatron. We have a new Megatron here. So this is Megatron, the Arrogant Ruler. It's a different version. This one here, attack range is kind of mid-range. His health is higher than most people. Again, equal to that of Windblade. His defense is mid-range. And it's kind of funny because, like, when you compare him to Windblade, he's almost like on par with her, What he has, though, that's interesting is his ability. Now, people who play Magic the Gathering, they might know what I'm talking about. In Magic the Gathering, there's a black card called Altar's Reap. Altar's Reap is this card where you sacrifice, I believe you sacrifice an artifact, and you're able to draw 2 cards. So Megatron has a similar ability to that, where he sacrifices an upgrade, and you're able to draw 2 cards. So that's actually a useful thing. Same thing in Altar's Reap and in MTG and Magic the Gathering. It's a very useful technique. Then we go to like some other character cards here. We have like this is like a new piece of information. So we're going to have action cards that actually have a star system. Now, what do I mean by that? So in the Transformers card game, you're only allowed to have a certain amount of characters that add up to 25 stars. That's what it was originally. So like to give an example, like Optimus Prime has 8 stars, RC has 4 stars. So you could only have a combined collection of characters that make up to 25 stars. That's how it used to be. Now what they're doing is there's certain action cards that are so powerful and so important that they're going to also factor into that star final total. So we have this card here, this action card called Bolt of Lightning, which I'm telling you, you would know this, Wendell. It literally is Lightning Bolt from the red decks. It's called Bolt of Lightning. It does 3 damage to an enemy.
Okay.
And Bolt of Lightning has a star cost because it's that powerful a card, because it just does direct damage, boom, right away. And same thing, like how Lightning Bolt in Magic the Gathering was just this, it's 1 to cast, super easy card, but it's so crucial and good for the meta of the game. So this is the first time we've had an action card that actually has a star cost on it. So it's going to factor into when you're making your deck, you have to factor in this one card is going to go towards it. So it's going to probably be a factor with a lot of more powerful action cards. And we get into that more with other action cards. There's one called Field Communicator, and then there's another one that they had too, which was, I think it was called Missile Assault. I don't have that one here, but I was reading about that one too. I must have forgot the image somewhere, maybe on my end here. But all of this pretty much leads up to the most important thing, which is the centerpiece. Now, this is called Rise of the Combiners. From what I have confirmed 100% is the set is going to have 6 different combiners. What those 6 are, we don't know, but here's my personal speculation. If you look at the list of combiners that existed through Generation 1 history, we have Devastator, Menasor, Bruticus, Predaking, Defensor, and Superion. I think that's going to be our 6. Because what do you leave out when you leave that out? Well, you leave out Abominus, Piranacon, and Computron, which are the more later combiner teams, if you will. You know, with the exception of Predaking. Predaking kind of falls into that later combiner teams, but all the others, I think they're going to be left out. And obviously, we're leaving out Raiden, Road Caesar, and some of the more later Japanese G1 combiners. But I think that the combiner team that we're going to be getting is Devastator, Menasor, Bruticus, Predaking, Defensor, and Superion. We know Predaking 100%, but I'm saying the other ones.
Oh, okay.
Now, what this means is, if we're going to have all the 6 combiner teams, and each one of them, obviously with the exception of Devastator, because that's going to be 6 members,
right?
But assuming that everyone is a 5 combiner team or a 6 combiner team, that's going to lead up to 46 to 48 character cards because of each individual character. Now, how does combining even work with this? I get a feeling like, by the way, also the Rise of the Combiners, I think that all the character cards, with the exceptions of the few that I've listed here, I think all of them are more or less going to be combiner characters.
Probably.
So it's going to be a combiner crazy year. Now, when it comes to how does this combining thing work? Now, we've seen video of this online, and it's really clever and it's really cool, which is the actual card itself is in the scale of the regular character cards, and they're folded. So on one, it's like a folded book.
Well,
and
there's like a seam, right? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, the seam down the center. And so, like, to give an example, like you'll have someone like Rampage or Razor Claw, and it's folded, and on one side you have the alt mode, on the other side you have the robot mode, and they're technically individual character cards. Now, how it works for combining, how do you interplay it into the game? Which is, you have to have them in some way in the field, on the table. Now, they could be on the field and have died and gone to the graveyard, or the scrap heap in this case, or the scrap yard, but they still count of being on the field. And how it works essentially is if you have all 5 of your combiner team in the field and you use, in this case, let's say the Predacon Enigma, which is the card that enables you for Predaking to combine, it says pretty much, as long as everyone's on the field, it could be like 2 guys could be on the actual play field and 3 guys could be in the scrapyard. You could still combine them all together. The only difference is all the damage that the dead characters are going to have, or the knocked out characters, they're going to carry that on to Predaking. So, because Predaking now, he gets a new health stat. Yeah. So like, give an example. Like if Razor Claw is dead and Rampage is dead, so they're down to 0. So they have like, I guess between the 2 of them, they'll have like 9 life counters on them that are taken away because they're dead.
Right.
When they combine, you're going to have to take away those 9 life counters from Predaking's grand total of 37.
Wow.
Now, so it's kind of like they have dead limbs on them. It's a way to have all 5 characters on the field and not have to worry about one getting killed and then, oh, there goes my combo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, just to talk about Predaking just for a second, his stats. He's without a doubt, up to this point, the character with the most health. Before that, we had the Metroplex card. The Metroplex card had 35 health. Predaking has 37. His defense is pretty mid-tier. I'm pretty surprised. Like it's no better than a lot of other characters.
Okay.
And his attack is pretty average also. I mean, even like Optimus Prime, they have the main Optimus Prime card, Optimus Prime Battlefield Leader, has more attack than Predaking, which is kind of amazing. But here's the twist. Predaking has the ability to individually equip each one of his individual members. So if you could add a equipment card or a weapon slot card to each one of these individual members, it adds to the final attack, which could actually make it pretty crazy. So if you add like a +1 or a +3 on each individual limb, you could be talking sometimes in upwards of an attack of almost like 20, which is, again, way higher than anything that exists in the game. So it's a pretty... I don't want to say it's broken, but like, because we haven't really played the meta of the game yet to understand how broken it is, but it's pretty crazy when you kind of look compared to what exists right now at the moment in the game. So as I said, right now we have the 6 combiner teams that are going to be part of this set, which leads to a possibility of 46 to 48 characters. There's going to be 81 new battle cards, which, again, I've shown a few of them, but there's going to be a ton more. Some of those battle cards and action cards are going to have a star value on them, which is going to add up to how you construct your deck now. Looks pretty interesting, but again, it looks like there's going to be a lot of new stuff coming to this expansion that is really going to shake up however the old... I mean, this game's only been around for, what, like a month and a half or so?
Yeah, not that long.
Yeah, not that long at all. Month and a half, 2 months, 3 months, something like that. It hasn't been too long, depending on which area you're in and how quickly it arrived in your area. I know that when TFCon rolled around, TFCon USA, like it was like just freshly out. So some places, especially some places in Canada, have just gotten it from their distributors. So it's still new for some people, but now it looks like already people's decks that they've worked on and constructed, they're going to have to revisit it now with this whole new meta of the game and the star system and everything. So pretty interesting stuff. We're going to talk about it more in the future when we learn more, but just take a look at what we got right now. I'll post the images of these cool new cards, and hopefully it'll show up on their Facebook and their Twitter and everything not long after that.